Since the PMP exam will have many of these situational questions, let's have a real world example of effective project charters or creating these project charters just to ensure that you have idea how will let's say these questions will look like and how and answer them based on world exam. So as we say that understanding the real world application of project charter bridges the gap between the theoretical knowledge and the practical execution. By examining some of these key case studies, we can see how the ITTOs are effectively used to deliver a successful project. The first example here we have is an IT infrastructure. So think as an IT infrastructure project, the business case emphasizes the need for a secure and scalable system. Also, the stakeholder engagement sessions, you can consider it, it's gathered, um, uh, it gathers the insight on the user needs and the compliance requirements, while expert judgment as a tool is used to define a high level objectives, also producing a well rounded project charter. So, the key points here we have learned on this example think as on this example of having an IT infrastructure project. So, the business case can highlight the needs for a secure, scalable infrastructure, high level requirements. And this is considered as the key inputs, including the business case, stakeholder needs, and some of the EEFs like the regulatory compliance. And the tools, as we have highlighted here, is the expert judgment and facilitation techniques, for example, to align the stakeholder priorities. And the output here is expected when developing an IT structure project is the approved project charter outlining the scope and timeline and high level requirements. To have another example here when, let's say, developing a project charter is, let's say, a construction project of a public facility. So, for the public facility project, stakeholder feedback through surveys, and revealed community priorities, templates from similar projects are reference, while zoning laws influence the project constraints. And this collaborative process resulted in project charter aligned with the community and the regulatory requirements. So the key inputs, outputs, and tools here is the key input here are the business case. And the business case has to address the community demand for a multiple purpose facility that serves the public. So the inputs here are also considered as the community surveys or OPAs, the organization process assets like the past project templates and EFFs, such as the zoning laws, for example. The key tools used here, such as brainstorming session and facilitation techniques. And the output here is the approved project charter reflecting the stakeholder consensus and regulatory compliance. To highlight the importance of a business case in real world projects. So business cases forms as the foundation of effective project charter by clearly, defining the problem and the proposed solution to solve that problem. And this justification ensures that all of the stakeholders are aligned and the resources will be allocated effectively. It defines the why, say the reason of why we are taking the project, and provide the justification for the budget, timeline, and resource allocation. You can consider it also as it influence the stakeholder alignment and commitment. What exactly the role of stakeholder engagement in project development or in the project charter development? So engaging the stakeholder early ensures that stakeholder concerns and their priorities are addressed. And this proactive involvement builds the trust and reduces the resistance by the stakeholder. Also, it contributes to um, more detailed and a more correct project charter that um, serves as the start point when you are developing the project. Here are the key tools and techniques and action that we have clarified and we have explained before, such as the expert judgment to ensure an informed decision making. Also, we have shown how the facilitation techniques to streamline the decisions. Also, one of the key important, let's say, tools here is the brainstorming session, generate an innovative solution. So, in real world scenarios, tools like expert judgment and facilitation techniques play a very important and significant role in obtaining these inputs and driving the consequences based on the expert experience. Brainstorming sessions often uncover innovative approaches that strengthen the project charter itself. Some of the common challenges that we might haven't discussed before is it often arises from misaligned priorities, let's say, a limited understanding of the inputs like EFFs and delays in approval sometimes by the stakeholders. And recognizing these challenges helps teams to proactively address them during the development process. So the key challenges here, as we discuss, is the misaligned stakeholder priorities. So each of these stakeholder has different priorities, and each of them has different requirements, which need to involve these stakeholders and to ensure their alignment with these stakeholder needs. Also, the insufficient understanding of the EFFs and the OPAs. Maybe you have to initiate a project and maybe you haven't considered as one of these regulatory requirements that need to be implemented on the project. Sometimes the delays are by the stakeholders or the delayed approvals due the lack of consensus. So you need to ensure that all of the stakeholders understand what would be the consequences in case of, for example, delaying providing the approval on the business case, on the project charter, on the overall project constraints such as the timeline or the let's say the project schedule and cost, and let's say the risks and the resources involved in this project. To have a success factors for effective building a project charter. So effective project charters or project management or project charters are categorized by its clarity and its robust stakeholder engagement and its strategic use for the ITTOs, which we have covered earlier. These factors set stage for a successful project execution. So you need to ensure these objectives and project constraints are clear, and you need also to ensure all of the stakeholder engagement are aligned with the project needs, and to utilize these ITTOs that we have discussed earlier to achieve, or let's say to complete this project charter on a timely manner. Let's talk now about a real world lessons learned. So real world lessons emphasizes the importance of early stakeholder involvement and leveraging the existing or the needed OPAs and EFs for efficiency and continuously aligning the EFS to navigate changing, let's say, external conditions. So the lesson one here we have learned is including involving the stakeholder early avoids the scope creep. The next lesson here, leveraging the OPAs or the organization process assets accelerates the charter development. The third lesson here we have is you need to regularly revisit the EFFs to ensure the alignment with the external factors. summarize our session here, we think that real-world example provide a valuable insight, more understandable into the practical application of the ITTOs when developing the project charter. By focusing on the business case and stakeholder engagement and overcoming, common challenges, teams can create a robust and effective project charter.